Bloom Birthday Azul is finally coming to EN, so let's chat about his flower symbolism. I'll admit that while Kate did take me a while, this one was far more frustrating, although it did go faster. Songs like Azul's Bouquet truly reflects him. But anyway, enough of being catty. Flower language has been around for hundreds and hundreds of years, and all cultures have their own different takes on flower language. Because Twist, while a Japanese game, has a lot of aspects influenced by British and US cultures, I'll be analyzing the Bouquet with Hanakotoba, Japanese flower language, and Floriography, which is the fancy English word for flower language. They mean the same thing, but just know when I say Hanakotoba, I'm specifically referring to Japanese symbolism, and when I say Floriography, I'm referring to the English/US/Western flower language. While some meanings overlap, not all of them do, so I just want to be clear on what flower language I got what information from. Now that we have those disclaimers out of the way, let's talk about what's in Azul's Bouquet. While I'm fairly confident in my identifications, I'm by no means an expert, and my identifying was done by typing in descriptions of flowers into Google and searching. Yeah, that's how we did this. These are the flowers I'm confident in my identification. Peony, Clematis, Azul, Azalea, Astrantia, Begonia, and Daisies. The ones I'm not sure about are those two. From the bottom right, I think it's either a very dark lavender or snapdragon, since snapdragons do come in that color. Lavender also can come in that color, but it's kind of rare from what I've seen. I've never seen a snapdragon really like this before. Most of the time it looks like they don't have a fully flowering top, where this one does. And then we have this, which my best guess is it's lilac stems. While it's close to the color of lavender, I don't think it's lavender because it doesn't split off like that. It's a one stem equals one flowery thing situation, whereas this has multiple flowery things per stem, which lilac can do. Because I'm not sure about these, I'm going to go ahead and talk about all of them, but you can take these things with a grain of salt. Let's start out the bouquet analysis with some running themes. There are some flowers that have the same meanings. Azul's has a lot more connections than Kate did, I'll tell you that. The first theme we have is regalness. At least that's the umbrella I'm putting these flowers under. These flowers all have a word that's more or less a synonym for regal, but for brevity's sake I'm smooshing them all together. Lavender, peony, clematis, azalea, and daisies all have a connection of dignity, both in Floriography and Hanakotoba. While I think you could make an argument Azul's not really regal. God, I just keep writing really mean things, don't I? Okay, let's start a counter of every time I shade Azul. How about that? That'll keep things fun. He definitely puts on an air of dignity and being refined. He wants to be perceived that way, and honestly, if you don't know him that well, that's probably how he comes off. Wow, that sounded so mean. I didn't mean it in a rude way, I promise on that one. That one was an accident. Oh my god. I'm a mess. Anyway, Azul cultivates this image of being refined, or at least being above the other students in my opinion, so I feel like these flowers reflect that. Next up, we have devotion. Both Astrantia and Lavender symbolize this. Azul is very dedicated to things and gives his all. He's devoted to running the Mostra Lounge, capitalism, bettering himself, and cultivating talents. Azul is not someone who does things on a whim. He plans carefully, he researches well, and when he decides something needs to be done, he's going to do it. And he's not just gonna do it half-heartedly, he goes in on it. Like, I would argue this is his best feature, period. Like, he commits. We also have the theme of beauty going on with clematis, lilac stems, and daisies. What's interesting is that these all mean beauty in Hanakotoba, and daisies are the only one who have this meaning in both Hanakotoba and Floriography. Okay, so originally I wrote Azul isn't the most dedicated in the pursuit of beauty, but then I realized that that was, like, completely wrong. I was just thinking of it from, like, a Vil perspective. Like, man, I really hate to say it, but it sounds like, from Azul's backstory, it sounds like fat phobia is well alive in Twisted Wonderland, which I hate that. I legitimately hate that. Cause, like, he went on, like, all those strict diets and stuff to, like, lose weight, to, like, appear, you know, like, well, one, to stop bullying, and, you know, to appear more, like, conventionally attractive, which I'm like, I'm sorry they did that to you, King. God, but anyway, so yeah, he is dedicated to that. Like, losing weight is so fucking hard. As for our final overarching theme, sort of, we have deception. Because of course we do, this is Azul after all. Lavender, snapdragon, and begonia can all mean basically the same thing, red flag. No, if we're being picky, Begonia means beware, and lavender and snapdragon mean deception. All these flowers are a warning, more or less. Azul? Yeah, you can't trust Azul. He's smart and willing to screw over other people if it benefited him. He'd be willing to do anything to get what he wants. He abuses loopholes, he lies, as kind as he can appear, and let's be real, he can be nice sometimes. He almost always has an ulterior motive, and really, you have to be extremely careful if you do decide to trust him. So now that we've talked about some prominent themes in the bouquet, I'll go through the flowers and talk about each flower and other meanings they have and how they reflect Azul. Because while Azul has a lot more overarching themes than Kate did, there's still a lot of little meanings in these flowers that don't carry over. I've already covered all the meanings for lavender, so we're going to skip over to snapdragon. And again, take this with a grain of salt because not sure. While this flower means deception in both Hanakotaba and Floriography, it can also mean grace and strength. Azul is very strong when it comes to mental fortitude, and also physically. He's very strong in his mer form. Grace, I see this something as more he aspires to. We know he's a bad flyer, and although he tries, he's not always the most graceful. Peonies and Hanakotaba in Floriography have the same meaning: bashfulness, compassion, honor, and prosperity. Azul certainly prospers with the Mostra Lounge, that's for sure. He, post-Chapter 3, has become more honorable and doesn't try to screw people over nearly as much as he did before, and he can definitely be shy sometimes. I'd like to say something mean about compassion, but if I'm being honest, I think he's capable of having compassion, although admittedly I can't necessarily think of an example. But he can be nice. Clematis is a toxic flower if you accidentally eat it. Well, I guess if you purposely eat it too, it would be. What the hell am I doing with this script? It's not oleander or anything, but do not eat this. Don't do that. In Hanakotaba, it means a beautiful mind, ingenuity, and cunning, which, yeah, Azul is insanely clever, insanely smart, and incredibly cunning. In Floriography, it means beauty and wisdom. Purple ones in particular mean admiration, elegance, loyalty, power, wealth, and success. All things Azul longs for, or already has considering the power as a house warden and success with the Mostra Lounge. Lilac azaleas represent self-restraint and temperance. Azul is not someone who dives into things immediately. He has a lot of self-control, and like I mentioned before, does research before committing. He has a lot of restraint and self-control. Lilac stems, if that's what's in the bouquet, are kind of mixed on their meanings. In Hanakotaba, they symbolize pride and beauty. In Floriography, they symbolize the, quote, joy of youth and confidence. I don't know if I would say Azul enjoys being young, but he's proud of his accomplishments and recognizes his own success. Astrantia has no meanings in Hanakotaba, at all, but in Floriography they mean uniqueness, individuality, inner strength, and power to overcome obstacles. Which, yeah, I don't really know what else to say, because, yeah, Azul's got all that. He's done all that. Purple begonia in Hanakotaba means beware, which is also shared with Floriography. Azul, like I've said, is someone you need to be careful around because he will sell you to Satan for a corn chip. And finally, we have purple daisies. Between both flower languages we've been referencing, they symbolize innocence and beauty. In Floriography, though, they also mean rebirth and new beginnings, which I think fit him a little better. Maybe I'm reaching a bit, but I think Azul trying to erase all past instances of himself count as him vying for a new beginning. Getting rid of your past certainly leads itself to a new start, doesn't it? This video is definitely not as depressing as Kate's was, that's for sure. We don't exactly need a mood lightener. Nonetheless, we're gonna end on a fun note with every Yume's favorite segment, Yume Joshi Ijo no Koi ga Shitai, where I go self-shippers food and talk about the romantic aspects of these flowers and speculate how they could relate to Azul as a boyfriend. If you're not into the self-ship scene, I'll see you later, but for the Azul Yumes, I will try not to butcher your boy that much, but frankly, I would not describe myself as an Azul whisperer. Lavender can mean devotion, I'm pretty sure I mentioned that earlier. I think Azul would be a very devoted partner. The guy has a lot of insecurities, and I feel like although he has friends, his self-esteem is not great, and I feel like he would be very devoted to his partner because 1, that's how he would want to be loved, and 2, he doesn't want his partner to feel like he has in the past. Peonies have some other meanings that I actually left out so I could talk about them in this segment. They symbolize romance and a happy marriage. I'll get the joke out of the way. Of course Azul has a happy marriage. He's happy because tax benefits. No, I mean, yeah, I think he would enjoy the tax benefits, but that's not the only reason he would be happy. I've said a million times in the analysis, Azul is a planner. He considers things very carefully. If he commits to you, he already knows things are 99% going to work out and that you're the one. And finally, we have daisies, which represent affection in Floriography. I think Azul would be affectionate, kind of coinciding with all the devotion stuff I talked about earlier. I do think, though, it'd be a time and place sort of thing. No, I don't think he'd kiss you in public. I think the only PDA you'd get is hand-holding, which honestly, I hard agree with. I love that couples love each other, but can I not see y'all making out on the train at 6 in the fucking morning? Can we not do that, please? But anyways, I do think privately he could be very affectionate. And that's it for Azul's Bouquet. Allegedly. Anyways, I hope y'all enjoy this analysis. Happy birthday, Azul, and the next birthday is Sebek on March 17th. I'll see you guys later, and until next time, bye-bye! Thank you everyone for watching, and a very special thank you to my channel members and Twitch subs. Your support helps me to continue to make these videos. If you'd like early access to my videos, consider becoming a channel member. Patrons and Ko-fi members can get my scripts early before I record them. I livestream over on Twitch every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Thanks again, guys, and I'll see y'all later.